Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we'll continue our reading from the Nectar of Instruction, Updeshamrita by Rupa Gosvami. And we will be reading from verse number 6 or text number 6. So as we remind ourselves every time that these are the 11 lessons in the ancient sign of the Bhakti Yoga. Across 5 centuries and half the globe comes this compact guidebook of essential spiritual teaching, how to choose a guru, how to practice yoga, even where to live. You'll find it all in this invaluable little work, originally written in Sanskrit by Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī, the greatest spiritual genius of medieval India. And it has been translated and illuminated by Rupa Goswami's modern successor, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The Nectar of Instruction is the key to enlightenment for all seekers on the path of spiritual perfection. So let's begin. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripa tamam vande shri gurum dintarinam paramananda madhavam Śrī Caitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tatsat. Drishtahe swabhav jana janiter vapushas cha dosher na prakrit tattvam iha bhakta janasya pashet gangam bhasam na khalo bubuda fena panaker brahma dravatavam apagachati nir dharmaya. So the word to word meaning goes like this. Drishtah, seen by the ordinary vision. Swabhava janiteh, born of one's own nature. Vapushaha, of the body. Cha and dosha, by the false. Na, not. Prakritatvam, the state of being material. Iha, in this world. Bhakta janasya, of a pure devotee. Pashet, one should see. Ganga ambhasam, of the Ganges waters. Na, not. Khalo, certainly. Buddha, pain. Panakeh, by bubbles, foam and the mud. Brahma Dravatvam, the transcendental nature. Apagachati is spoiled. Nira Dharmeh, the characteristics of water. And the translation is like this. Being situated in his original Krishna consciousness position, a pure devotee does not identify with the body. Such a devotee should not be seen from a materialistic point of view. Indeed, one should overlook a devotee having a body born in a low family, a body with a bad complexion, a deformed body, or a diseased or infirm body. According to ordinary vision, such imperfections may seem prominent in the body of a pure devotee, but despite such seeming defects, the body of a pure devotee cannot be polluted. It is exactly like the waters of the Ganges, which sometimes during the rainy season are full of bubbles, foam and mud. The Ganges water do not become polluted. Those who are advanced in spiritual understanding will bathe in the Ganges without considering the condition of the water. So these translations are also by Srila Prabhupada. And now we start the purport. And purport is also by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shuddha Bhakti, the activity of the soul proper, in other words, engagement in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, is performed in a liberated condition. In Bhagavad-Gita 14.26, it is stated, Mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunana samatiti tayetan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstance, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Avyabhicharini bhakti means unalloyed devotion. A person engaged in devotional service must be free from the material motives. This is very important. In this Krishna consciousness movement, one's consciousness must be changed. So it has to change from material to spiritual gradually. If consciousness is aimed toward material enjoyment, it is material consciousness, and thus if it is aimed towards serving Krishna, it is Krishna consciousness. So these are so beautiful meanings of Krishna consciousness bhakti Prabhupada gives in his purports. A surrendered soul serves Krishna without material considerations, anya bhilashita shunyam, jnana karmadi anavritam, unalloyed devotional service which is transcendental to the activities of the body and mind, such as Gyan, which is mental speculation, and Karma, which is the fruitive work, is called pure bhakti. Bhakti Yoga is the proper activity of the soul, and when one actually engages in unalloyed, uncontaminated devotional service, he is already liberated. Sagunana Samati Yaitan. Krishna's devotee is not subject to material condition, even though his bodily features may appear materially conditioned. One should therefore not see a pure devotee from a materialistic point of view. Unless one is actually a devotee, he cannot see another devotee perfectly. As explained in the previous verse, there are three types of devotees: Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari, and Uttam Adhikari. We were reading about these in the previous shloka, shlok number 5. The Kanishta Adhikari does not distinguish between the devotee and a non-devotee. He is simply concerned with worshipping the deity in the temple. A Madhyam Adhikari can distinguish between the devotee and the non-devotee, as well as between the devotee and the Lord. Thus he treats the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the devotees and the non-devotees, in different ways. No one should criticize the bodily defects of a pure devotee. If there are such defects, they should be overlooked. What should be taken into account is the spiritual master's main business, which is devotional service. Pure service to the Supreme Lord, as stated in Bhagavad-Gita, verse 30 of chapter 9, Api chet suduracharo bhajate mam ananya bhak sadhur eva samantavyah samyag vyavasito hi saha. So as our spiritual master, His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj always says, because at the moment we know for many, many years we've seen our Guru Maharaj having so many problems at the body platform, but how beautifully, how nicely he's transcendently situated in his bhakti. No matter the body might be in a totally different, behaving in a totally different fashion. So our Guru Maharaj is so inspiring to all of us. And even Guru Maharaj says sometimes in his lectures that if you find it difficult to listen to me, then try to read to my shikshas. But we should just see that how lucky we are to see these Mahabhagavats amongst us, who are there as perfect examples. How the Shastras are explaining us, for example, in this Nectar of Instruction, and how we can learn from the lives of the great devotees. Even if a devotee sometimes seems to engage in abominable activities, he should be considered a sadhu, a saintly person, because his actual identity is that of one engaged in the loving service of the Lord. In other words, he is not to be considered an ordinary human being. Even though a pure devotee may not be born in a Brahman or a Gosvami family, if he is engaged in the service of the Lord, he should not be neglected. In actuality, there cannot be a family of Goswamis based on the material considerations, caste or heredity. The Gosvami title is actually the monopoly of the pure devotees. Thus we speak of 6 Gosvamis headed by Rupa Gosvami and Sanatana Gosvami. Rupa Gosvami and Sanatana Gosvami had practically become Mohammedans and had therefore changed their names to Dabir Khas and Sakar Malik. But Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu himself made them Gosvamis. Therefore, the Gosvami title is not hereditary. The word Goswami refers to one who can control his senses. Swami is the master and Go is the senses. Who is master of the senses? A devotee is not controlled by the senses, but is a controller of the senses. Consequently, he should be called Swami or Goswami, even though he may not be born in a Goswami family. According to this formula, the Goswami, who are descendants of Sri Nityananda Prabhu and Sri Advaita Prabhu, are certainly devotees, but devotees coming from other families should not be discriminated against. Indeed, whether the devotees come from a family of previous acharyas or from an ordinary family, they should be treated equally. One should not think, oh, here is an American Goswami, and discriminate against him. but devotees coming from other families should not be According to this formula, the Goswamis, who are descendants of Sri Nityananda Prabhu and Sri Advaita Prabhu, are certainly devotees. And we were fortunate enough to meet Advaita Acharya's descendant in Shantipur when we were traveling in Mayapur Dham. I don't remember clearly, they were 10th generation or the present generation is the 10th generation descendants of Advaita Acharya, something like that. But devotees coming from other families should not be discriminated against. Indeed, whether the devotees coming from the family of previous acharyas or from an ordinary family, they should be treated equally. One should not think, oh, here is an American Goswami, and discriminate against him. Nor should one think, here is a Nityananda Vamsha Goswami. There is an undercurrent of protest against our rewarding the title Goswami to the American Vaishnavas or the Krishna consciousness movement. Prabhupada is saying here, sometimes people flatly tell the American devotees that the sannyas or title of Goswami is not bona fide. However, according to the statements of Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī in this verse, an American Goswami and a Goswami in a family of acharyas are non-different. On the other hand, the devotee who has attained the title of Goswami but is not born of a Brahman father or of a Goswami in the family of Nityananda or Advaita Prabhu should not be artificially puffed up by thinking that he has become a Goswami. He should always remember that as soon as he becomes materially puffed up, he immediately falls down. The Krishna consciousness movement is a transcendental science, and there is no room for jealousy. The movement is meant for the Paramhamsas who are completely free from all jealousy. Paramam Nirmat Saranam Nam. One should not be jealous whether he is born in a family of Goswamis or has a title of Goswami awarded to him. As soon as anyone becomes envious, he falls down from the platform of Paramhamsa. If we consider the bodily defects of a Vaishnava, we should understand that we are committing an offense at the lotus feet of the Vaishnava. An offense at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava is very serious. Indeed, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu has described this offense as Hati Mata. So Hati is Hati and Mata is offense. So Hati Mata means the mad elephant offense in Bengali. A mad elephant can create a disaster, especially when it enters into a nicely trimmed garden. One should therefore be very careful not to commit any offense against a Vaishnava. Every devotee should be ready to take instructions from a superior Vaishnava, and superior Vaishnava must be ready to help an inferior Vaishnava in all respects. This is the meaning of being a Vaishnava. Par dukhe dukhi. One is superior or inferior according to his spiritual development in the Krishna consciousness. One is forbidden to observe the activities of a pure Vaishnava from a material point of view. For the neophyte, especially, considering a pure devotee from a material point of view is very injurious. One should therefore avoid observing a pure devotee externally. One should try to see the internal features and understand how he is engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. In this way, one can avoid seeing the pure devotees from a material point of view, and thus one can gradually become a purified devotee himself. Those who think that Krishna consciousness is limited to a certain section of people, a certain section of devotees, or a certain tract of land are generally prone to see the external features of the devotee. Such neophytes, unable to appreciate the exalted service of the advanced devotee, try to bring the Mahabhagavat to their platform. We experience such difficulty in propagating this Krishna consciousness all over the world. Unfortunately, we are surrounded by neophytes, God brothers who do not appreciate the extraordinary activities of spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world. They simply try to bring us to their platform, and they try to criticize us in every respect. We very much regret their naive activities and poor fund of knowledge. An empowered person who is actually engaged in the confidential service of the Lord should not be treated as an ordinary human being, for it is stated that unless one is empowered by Krishna, one cannot spread the Krishna consciousness movement all over the world. So Prabhupada is explaining so beautifully the difficulties he faced and how a neophyte devotee can, bring out the meaning of Krishna consciousness in a very different way, which is not right. When this criticizes a pure devotee, he commits an offense, Vaishnav Aparadh. So previously, Prabhupada was saying in the purport that Mahaprabhu has described Hatimata, an mad elephant offense, when an offense is committed at the lotus feet of a Vaishnav. Now, we've been told that when one criticizes a pure devotee, they are committing Vaishnav Aparadh. Now that is very obstructive and dangerous for those who desire to advance in the Krishna consciousness. A person cannot derive any spiritual benefit when he offends the lotus feet of a Vaishnav. Everyone should therefore be careful not to be jealous of an empowered Vaishnav or a Shuddha Vaishnav. It is also an offense to consider an empowered Vaishnav an object of disciplinary action. It is offensive to try to give them advice or to correct them. One can distinguish between a neophyte Vaishnav and an advanced Vaishnav by their activities. The advanced Vaishnav is always situated as a spiritual master, and the neophyte is always considered his disciple. The spiritual master must not be subjected to the advice of a disciple, nor should a spiritual master be obliged to take instructions from those who are not his disciples. This is the sum and substance of Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī's advice in the 6th verse. So, such an important verse. All the verses of Nectar of Instructions, I should say, all the Shastras are very, very empowering, and they give us new insights and new knowledge, and they just make our learning so easy. Srila Prabhupada has done such a marvelous service to the human society. And this was the 6th verse of the Nectar of Instruction, where we learned about the offenses committed at the various stages of the bhakti, and what are the offenses, what are considered as Vaishnava offenses, and how to keep in check so that we don't fall into the trap of committing offenses in our bhakti life, because it's so difficult to grow the flowers of bhakti in the garden of your devotion, with the devotional service in our lives as jivas of this Kali Yuga. And all of us have come with our baggage of karma as well, and we have got modes of material nature to fight against. Also, we have some inner propensities which we are born with. But never mind, if we keep trying to learn something every day from the Shastras, that day is not too far from us when we will be able to keep ourselves in Krishna consciousness all the time, as Krishna has desired from all of us, I'm sure. So thank you for joining. Hariam Tat Sat, Hare Krishna. We'll be reading text number 7 of the verse number 7 of Nectar of Instruction next time. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī ki jai, Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. And please keep yourself immersed in the classes and whatever you can sing or cook or do any service for Srimati Radharani, because her appearance day is on Wednesday. Today is Monday. Hare Krishna.